Welcome to Session 1 of Sequoyah, a Star Trek Adventures actual play featuring the Fantasy Grounds virtual tabletop from Nerd Eye Industries. Disclaimer, this is a beginner's game, so that means that some of the players are new to Star Trek, the D20 system, and or Fantasy Grounds, all three possibly. So there will be some instruction done during gameplay, and there will be mistakes made. This is an interactive game, so that means that those watching live can actually, and those who check out on video on demand can actually affect the gameplay in an effort to keep this as correct as possible when it comes to the rules. Then what we can do is whenever you point out in chat, if you're watching live, or if you're watching on video on demand and you put in the comments, anytime the GM makes an error in rules, then point it out. And GMs only. Players are off limits when it comes to rule stuff. When I make a rule error and it is pointed out, either in live chat or in comments, I will reduce my threat pool by 1. Those watching live have an added opportunity to help out the PCs. For 50 bits, you can give the group 1 momentum, and this will go above the normal allotted momentum for a session. So it will allow them to do cooler things. Okay, so that being said, there's a contest going on, which we will talk about at the end of this, where you could possibly win a deluxe copy of the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game, the hard copy of the game. So keep watching, and we will let you know how to do that at the end of this. Now, this is going to be the first episode. Every episode is going to run roughly about 2 hours. So each session will be around 2 hours. So now with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started and get acquainted with the players. And we'll start with Commander Kujera Mers.
Hello, my name's Rihanna. On Twitter, I'm DIY Ferret and like every other social media, but I'm going to be playing Commander Kujera Mers. They are a Trill host, pretty newly put into the host business, and oh boy, I'm just really excited hearing the opening music and everything. I was like, oh man, this is a dream come true. So I hope you're all as excited as we are.
Awesome. So I think that goes to me now. My name is Morgan. You can find me on Twitter at ThistleRaven. You can also find me on the Taking Initiative podcast, which you can find on Twitter at TI_pod, and you can find on any podcast app. I think we're all there. And I'm going to be playing Lieutenant Gideon Salt. She's an engineer. She's really into robotics and the power cells. And there was this one time where the transporter got a little wonky. So she ended up having to figure out how to do that. And she's just really excited to get her hands on some tech and do some cool things. She's a half human, half Orion. So she's got green skin and frizzy red hair and glasses.
Me next. Hi, I am Brittany Lee Leonagay. You can find me on the internet at Brittany Lee. You can also find me on the podcast D20 Dames, all ladies D&D podcast, family friendly. Tonight I am playing Lieutenant Frankie Carmichael. Frankie Carmichael is also green, but not in the way that Gideon Salt is green. Frankie Carmichael is very new. She's very junior, straight out of the academy, but she is very smart, very bright, a science officer specializing in biology and geology and all things kind of dirt and human sciences. She's human, but she has a fascination with all non-human species, far more than she does the human species. Hopefully learn more about her later.
I think that comes to me. Hi, everybody. I'm Leslie, and tonight I'm going to be playing Dr. Cassie Davis, who is the Chief Medical Officer on the Sequoyah. And I am super excited to be playing this. I can't wait to get into it. So I will go ahead and turn it over to our wonderful GM.
All right. Okay, so, and I am Eric. I'm the GM. You can find me at Boz Saloon on Twitter and basically anywhere that Gamers Table can be found, so on the internets. All right, so let's go ahead and I will switch things over to the Fantasy Ground setting here. All right, thank you. All right, so we are starting with a captain's log. Captain's log, stardate 5928.4. The Sequoyah is en route to Starbase 17. Our orders are to take on a Starfleet captain and deliver her to her ship in a relatively uncharted sector of space. Captain Shin's ship, the USS O'Reilly, is investigating a malfunctioning deep space probe while Captain Shin was on temporary medical leave. The last contact Starfleet had with the O'Reilly was 36 hours ago. Captain Shin called in a favor to have the Sequoyah find out what happened to her ship. On a personal note, it will be good to see Tana Shin again. We parted too abruptly for my taste. All right. So I'm apologizing in chat. They're saying that the volume is kind of going up and down. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but okay. Okay. All right. So where we're starting this is in the briefing room or the conference room, and I will share that with everybody.
It's so exciting.
There we go.
Wow.
So you are in the conference room of the Sequoyah. Captain, let me show off all the stuff. Captain Jack Maxwell is
Wow. There he is.
there. He is.
So handsome.
5
Yeah, if you didn't
internet
notice,
bucks.
no one is playing this character.
Five internet bucks to anyone who can guess who he's based off of that doesn't already know.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, so Captain Maxwell is of course at the head of the table, and he's got his department heads are there now. That is except for your chief engineer Brian Brock Grayson, who is on leave and has been because he is getting married. So sitting in for Brock is Lieutenant Salt. And so then the captain is sitting there, and he's got his first officer is Commander Mers. Lieutenant Salt is in charge of engineering. Lieutenant Carmichael is there with Chief Science Officer Sivak, who is Vulcan, but is kind of precepting Frankie at this point because relatively new, and you're shadowing the senior officer in this, and he has essentially stepped to the side and is going to because the nature of this mission isn't necessarily something that is high priority. So he wants to see how Frankie Carmichael does in the position of Chief Science Officer for this mission. So he's going to be observing in the Vulcan way, which means that total judgment, but not one word.
No pressure.
And then
Silent judgment. Best kind.
Right. So, and then of course you have Dr. Davis, who is relatively new to the ship. Let's go ahead and do that first. How long have you been on the ship, and kind of what are your connections with not just the captain and the ship, but also with each other? And I don't care. Whoever wants to get started with that. Let's start with the commander.
Okay. Commander Kujera Mers has been in Starfleet. The Trill aren't an accepted, official race, but they're pretty much on their way. Like, everyone knows it's just, whatever bureaucracy has to be. cleared up, but he joined Starfleet pretty much as soon as it was available to him. He has been on the ship pretty much since its inception. As soon as Captain Maxwell was given his command, he also was promoted to right about the rank he is now as first officer. And he's there for the Sequoyah. He wants to see it do well, and he's come to view it and her people very, very fondly and very personally. He definitely wants to see everyone succeed on the ship.
And while you're talking, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, while you're talking, everyone, I'm going to actually pull up your character sheets so everyone can see your character sheets. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine. No, you're fine. And yes, he and Dr. Cassie Davis, Dr. Davis, to everyone else, they've been speaking a lot more because of personal things, because it's actually only been a year and a half or so since Mers became Mers, since Kujera actually joined to a Trill symbiont. And so he's been going through a lot in terms of just everything that's come with that, even having prepared for it. So it's been fun. He's learned a lot about himself.
Well, I'll go next then. So Cassie Davis grew up in a very rural outpost, and from very salt of the earth folk who were out kind of on the edges of where Terran or basically Earth, people from Earth had gone to. So she grew up pretty much having to do everything. Like there wasn't the same amount of technology available to her. So she's very much I'll figure out a way to make it happen. I will engineer, I will take what I've got around me, I'll make it work. But she was bound and determined to make more of her life. And so from a very young age, she was aiming towards Starfleet because that was just the gold standard of what is the biggest thing that I could do with my life. And to her, that was her end goal, was to be part of Starfleet. And as soon as she was old enough to join, she joined Starfleet. And she just had a sort of natural inclination to analyze, see, and deal with things in a way that made her perfect for being a medical officer. And that is what she went for. With, once she kind of had that goal, she went for it all the way, and was not going to be happy until she was chief medical officer on one of these, one of the main starships for Starfleet. So she is extremely happy and proud to be where she is. I think she's probably been there for a few years. I'm not exactly sure how long, but at least I would say a couple of years, because she's been friends with Commander Mers and helping them through some of what they've been going through. And yeah, she's definitely, Starfleet is her family. She's also kind of known to be a little bit like blunt and straightforward and says it like it is, which occasionally is not super popular, but
usually isn't.
Sometimes you just got to tell people this is what you got to do.
That's right.
Bedside manner or side.
That's right.
Gideon agrees with you. Is that it for you?
That's it.
All right. Well, speaking of Gideon has been on this ship for probably a couple years. You probably got voluntold to take Gideon. She's very good at what she does. But she's bounced around a couple of different ships, doing various different things, exploding things, apologizing, fixing them, and making them better, which is all the point of what anybody should be doing in engineering. And she's been in Starfleet for about 10 years. She joined when she was just an itty-bitty baby. She grew up on a whole bunch of different starships and star bases and space stations and all sorts of kinds of things that needed tinkering. So she figured this was her best bet. Her mom was in Starfleet. It's easy to get in. And that's really how that goes. She doesn't really have a lot of relationships with the other crew so much. She likes the new kid, though, with the buns. Oh, my God. Have you seen her? She's adorable. But she sees the doctor mostly because sometimes things get a little out of hand. And she's got a couple of burn marks, couple of scars. But you can't make progress without a little pain. And that's what Gideon thinks. But yeah, she doesn't really talk to command so much, except for a couple of times where she had to get pulled in by her supervisor. But, you know, those things were more like misunderstandings as opposed to like a relationship. So that's really where Gideon is in this whole thing.
And on a note, Captain Maxwell, with Gideon's ability to overhear things from the Jeffries tubes, you know that when Brock went on leave to get married, he said and said that he was going to put you in charge of engineering. The captain was like, "Don't you have anybody else?"
Well, that's fair because Gideon thinks, oh, geez, wasn't there anybody else? I'd rather be in the vents right now. You guys are making me kind of sweat with all of these tables and the pressure. I don't really think that I should be here right now. Brock getting married was kind of an inconvenience. Those things tend to be, you know, the relationship's really messy. You know, for instance, the two ensigns down on the lower deck, they've got themselves into something really strange. And like one of them's doing one thing, but they're not talking to each other. So they think they're doing another thing. If they just said what they were going to do, it might be a little bit better, but who knows?
And
Not me.
Those of you watching the stream, you will notice that under traits, Gideon has the trait human, and that is because why?
She's half human, half Orion. See, her dad, bit of a hottie, but also not so great at the whole parenting thing. Her mom was an ambassador. Actually, Gideon has her mom's name, so it's Ambassador Salt. She's really important. She's not quite like Gideon. She's got more of like a control over the way that she talks and stuff, which makes her a great ambassador. Not such a good mom, though. Weird. Anyway, so she had a like thing with him. Apparently, it's like a cool status thing with the ambassadors that like have like an alien love child. But the problem with having an alien love child is that then you've got a child. But she wasn't really interested in that part. So Gideon really raised herself in that way. She's got what you call a troubled relationship with her mother. And so much as we don't speak.
All right. Yeah, in chat, Oz put trait raised by warp cores. So that's
pretty much. You can learn so much about warp cores,
especially when they rock you to sleep at night.
Yep.
You also
in the second
them.
Season. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm saying in the second season of our made-up Star Trek series. That's definitely Gideon's like character episode, raised by warp cores, where we get into her relationship with her mother.
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe Gideon will skip that episode. That sounds uncomfortable.
All right.
Anyway, one really important thing about Gideon, though, that I forgot to mention before, but I'll mention it now since I've got your attention. There's something with Orions with the females where they're like super sexy and they like release some sort of pheromone that drives the humans crazy. Gideon kind of passed that, didn't get it, doesn't want it. But people sometimes come over and think, whoa, maybe I'll get some with the Orion girl on board. And boy, they're in for a big surprise, aren't they? But yeah, that thing didn't really happen with Gideon, so it's not a thing really. So that ain't happening. Just as a note for all of you.
All right.
And Frankie,
Yeah.
I think I already mentioned Frankie is new to the ship, new-ish. She's fresh out of school. This is in this conference room. She's probably not been in one of these conference rooms before, and she's probably not sat in the same room as Commander Mers or the doc, or maybe she's talked to Lieutenant Salt. Probably. They've probably chatted. I think Frankie has been in the labs kind of doing grunt work for a bit now, for the few months that she's been on this ship, and trying to like absolutely prove herself. And I would imagine that she's had some run-ins with Lieutenant Salt, fixing something here and there. And I actually think maybe they've talked about maybe they talked around their mothers. Frankie also has a little bit of a tough relationship with her parents. Her parents are both scientists. They're both very brilliant, but they have lived a life of, they're capitalists. They use science for, they use medical breakthroughs and scientific breakthroughs to make money. And so she grew up very much in their shadow of kind of learning everything about science that she could have. But as soon as she could kind of carve her own path in the academy, she did. And she decided that she was just not going to kind of follow in her parents' footsteps in that way. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of a parent drama that maybe Gideon and Frankie have probably not talked directly about while they're working together or next to each other. But yeah, she's probably not been in this conference room before. She is probably secretly wondering what the heck she's doing there. It's everything she's wanted, but she is absolutely terrified. So we shall see if she can put on a brave face.
Just to clarify, so your parents they're Federation citizens. They just they do science for profit.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
they're basically business people, but with really strong science backgrounds. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Lieutenant Commander Sivak, who is the chief science officer, is, like I said, is Vulcan. So why would they lie? Says that he actually knows both of your parents very well, although you have never met before you were stationed here. You had never met him before.
Oh, lovely. I love when that happens. Blink, blink.
All right.
Lots of people know my mom, and they say they have great interactions with her. It's usually, I think, probably the other way around, where they're like, I met your daughter.
Blink, blink.
Blink, blink.
All right.
Okay. So that's everybody, correct? I didn't forget anybody?
Nope.
Okay.
That's everybody.
All right. All right. So you're in the conference room, and Captain Maxwell is full on like he is in chill mode because this is a easy mission. So he's got like feet up on the table, rested back like, and he's just looking around the table at everyone, and then he just he says, "Okay, so he kind of pushes the button, one of the toggle switches, and says, Helm, how far out are we to Starbase 17? And Helm comes through and says, just over 3 hours, Captain. Very good. So he leans back and he's like, all right, folks, so what do we know about this, this mission? And looks directly at Kujera. And he's like, Kuj, what you got?
Huge. Oh.
Well, Captain, we know that Captain Shin is desperately trying to recontact her ship, that her ship shouldn't be in the situation that it's in at all, given that the quadrant area?
Sector.
Sector? Okay. That the sector has been known to offer nothing more than the strayed asteroid field, and frankly, I think you're taking this a little bit too lightly than what we probably should be.
Oh yeah?
A
Why is that?
Starfleet vessel just doesn't disappear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's assuming that it disappeared. They could just be having communication problems. When was the last time they were in contact with Starfleet? Do we know? And he kind of looks around and he goes, okay. He says, well, all right. And he sits forward and he kind of, all right, taking a
you
little
said
bit.
36 hours.
Oh,
correct?
36 hours. Gotcha. Okay. So they missed 3 check-ins. Okay. So that's pretty serious, huh? Okay. Okay. And Captain Shen?
Yes, Lieutenant.
The captain's suggestion about communication may have been accurate. In that sector, there are some really violent ion storms happening right now, or so our probe data suggested. And I don't know that we can trust the probe data because of the ion storms, but it's a good guess.
So Gideon will have been typing on a little pad this entire time, and it's just like tap, 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 and But with the ion storm, she's going to poke her head up and say, okay, well, actually, that could be a thing. See, the Daedalus, they're cool little starships. They're adorable, really. They give a lot of work, but they also, they're science vesicles, so they're not really...
Lieutenant.
Huh?
If you could please keep to task.
Right. Anyway, was getting to it. The starship that the Daedalus is, they're a science vessel. They don't have a lot of shields. And shields are really helpful when you're in an ion storm. They mess with things. So they might be in serious trouble if they were in there, because they could be susceptible to some, overloading when it comes to that. So it could be a communications issue. It could also mess with their engineering. Oh, I wouldn't you know what? I lied. I'd love to be on that ship right now. Everything's breaking all at once. So many things to fix. Ah, what a great time.
Lieutenant.
Huh?
Perhaps we should keep the excitement for after everyone is found safe.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, that could be the problem.
Frankie's checking her notes again. She brought a binder full of notes.
Color-coded. It's got tabs.
Yeah, so every time the captain's like, this is nothing, she's like, but why do I have all of these notes then? Why did I spend hours preparing? So she's flipping through. Also, if the shields aren't super great, and they are near that planet with the ion storms, the probes are also sensing poisonous atmosphere. So maybe urgency is important, or maybe not. Maybe this isn't that big of a deal either.
No, Lieutenant, I think that's very prudent that you brought up. If the crew is stranded due to the ship not working and having to take shelter on a nearby planet, that's incredibly important that we get to them as soon as possible.
Yeah. Should be quite a lot of people on there. Those kind of spaceships, about 210, maybe 230, 240 if people really bunked up. It's a lot of people.
Either way, I realize this may not mean a lot to everyone, but I have a feeling that this is a problem, a bigger problem than we might imagine.
All right. So then the captain's sitting there and he's just kind of watching everybody do their thing. And then he kind of you know, like he's like I say, he's still full on like lean. Or he had leaned back. He'd sat up, you know, like almost like a forced, like, you know, put a little starch in his shirt. But then he almost immediately just rocks back again, and he goes, "All right, Kuj. So what do we know about this planet that the O'Reilly is went to go check out? And why the hell were they there? I mean, all I got was there was a malfunctioning deep space probe, and they were taken off of their survey planet to go and check out this this probe. So yeah, Snoozeville. What do we know about the planet that they were at? What do we know about the planet that you know, that this having these ion storms that the probe picked up? Anybody got anything?
What
No?
do we know about it? Where's that info?
Maybe I know something else.
All right, he kind of looks over and he goes, "Yes, new person. What's your name again?"
Yeah.
Frankie Carmichael.
Carmichael. Right.
Yes, it's
What do you
a
got?
pleasure to meet you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I did mention the one possible planet. There is another as well that our the probe sensed, inhabited, most likely, post-industrial civilization. Kind of boring if you ask me, but it's also possible they traversed there. But again, the more interesting planet seems to be that other one with the ion storms and the poisonous gas and signs of another civilization living there a long time ago, and possibly some mining. And she's like flipping through her notes and getting excited about this very dangerous sounding planet.
With you, kid. It sounds great.
But we should consider all the options for science.
How many people are on? What is the name of the vessel that we're looking for?
Yo, O'Reilly.
Riley.
How many people are on the O'Reilly?
There are, so I mentioned before, there were somewhere between 200 to 240, maybe 210-ish. Somewhere in that vein. I think it was 210. But who knows? Might have been a stowaway. Then it would have been 211, and wouldn't I look silly? Ha!
Thank you, Lieutenant Salt. So, all right, so we've got potentially 200 people who could be dealing with some sort of poisonous gas, ion storm, some unknown situation. We might need to take on some more medical staff if we're going to be performing some sort of rescue mission along those lines.
All right.
Understandable. Doctor, you have multiple rooms at your, what is the word?
Disposal?
Is that the word?
Disposal.
Yeah.
Disposal.
Disposal. Okay. I heard it weird for some reason.
I also heard it
Because I
weird.
said it in this voice, and it probably sounded very strange.
No, that's good.
Yeah, put them
you
in
have
the
multiple
garbage chute.
Yeah, put them down in the garbage chute. You have multiple rooms at your disposal, and I'm sure we can clear some more as well, whatever you think is prudent.
That brings about a good question. What about Captain Shen's needs, Doctor?
Well, Captain Shin has contracted something called Hughes syndrome. She's referencing her notes. Apparently during their last mission, and without going into terrible details, she's treatable, but it's a slow treatment. It takes a bit of time. Was in the midst of treatment when I suppose her vessel went out of communication. I believe that she will probably be a great deal of help to us, but I do not wish to overstress her. She is not going to be well for the majority of this mission, will not be able to actively partake in any away missions.
That might be difficult, seeing as though it's her ship that's in peril.
Well, that's why we have you, don't we?
He kind of, his lidded eyes just kind of look at you for a second, and he says, well, yeah, but, he says, I know Tana pretty well, and I know that nothing's going to keep her away from that ship if she thinks that her people are in danger. So,
well, her particular syndrome causes lethargy, and if I can't keep her in one place, then I will just make sure that she's just very tired. It'll be fine.
Very good. All right, then.
That's weird. I heard from someone that she was convalescing after some sort of affair, like a baby or something. Maybe I heard that wrong. Tana.
I believe you probably heard it wrong, Lieutenant.
Could have been Canna. Jana? Maybe. Sometimes
Banana?
it's hard to hear in the... Banana might have been another one.
Maybe.
Sometimes in the ventilation shaft on the level next to the
So,
bathroom in the car, it's hard to hear.
With everything having come to a point, would you say we are simply waiting to get to the ship in T-minus 2.5 hours or so?
Once we've taken on Captain Shin, then we will make for her ship's last known location, at least, and very likely where this probe malfunctioned. We will go at maximum warp because, as you say, it appears that time is of the essence. So we could looks over at Salt. Looks like he's going to ask a question and then just kind of goes, and then reaches over and pushes one of his switches and says, Helm, maximum warp to Starbase 17. Aye, Captain.
Maximum.
And then looks at everyone else and says,
if you let me get down in there and do some fine tuning, maximum warp could have a whole new meaning. It would blow your socks off. Haven't gotten approval.
That's what I'm worried about. It's the blowing part. We just don't really need to blow anyone up again. I have just recently patched you up. Can we just keep you in one piece for just a little while? Just until maybe your next away mission, and then you can just,
All right. I guess we've got an urgent thing happening. But after that, I'm going to take you up on the fact that you're going to be okay with me blowing stuff up. I heard it. That's how I heard it. Anyway, thanks for the meeting, guys.
Yep, Captain, and he's just sitting there, like I said, looking a little bored. And as soon as you say, thank you for the meeting, guys, he kind of stands up and he goes, yes. And he looks over and he says, Kuj, I'll put everything in your hands. If you need me, I'll be in the rec room. And he just kind of walks out.
That's it?
That's it.
Did great, kid. I like your binder. It's very organized.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Commander Sivak is standing there. He just kind of looks at you. One of his eyebrows goes up, and then he turns and he also walks out.
Yeah. I feel like Sivak and Kujera also probably have had many moments where they look at each other and just accept it and go.
Yeah, because I didn't mention this, but Sivak is also he's chief science officer and second officer, so just under Kujera in rank on the ship.
Frankie's going to look at Kujera or the commander and say, well, no news is good news with Sivak, so I think I did okay.
Lieutenant, you're doing wonderful. Please don't let his silence take you for anything less.
Got it.
If you
Opposite
really
of
were doing
Gideon over
badly,
there, it seems.
yes. If you really were doing badly, someone else would say something. So don't worry.
Got it.
well done.
All right.
Nice to see you, Lieutenant Salt.
Huh? Okay. She's tapping away. Tapping.
Okay, with that.
So with the captain
Kujera
adjusting...
is going to see what Dr. Davis is doing.
Okay. Oh, in sick bay?
So, yeah, Dr. Davis has started walking towards sick bay. You can easily catch up to her.
Yeah, he'll fall into step.
Okay. She kind of like glances over and says, well, that was as enlightening as ever.
You said it. You
so
know,
what do we really have to worry about here?
honestly, everything I outlined that he kind of blowed over. I realize I don't mean to sound patronizing when I say this, but I have 5 lifetimes of experience now. I am pretty sure when I know something bad is about to happen, and I feel it. Cassie, I'm worried that this is much more than it's being made out to be.
Well, I dare say you're probably right. So, I mean, between us, we can probably make sure that at worst, he just stays out of our way. All right? So we can speak with Captain Shen when she's on board, and she may have some insight into this area that they were exploring, correct? They were surveying the planets, is that right?
Yes. Well, she was incapacitated, and she was set to return to them as soon as she was well. You know, I try not to make it sound like we're insubordinate or something. I honestly do respect Maxwell at many things, but it's hard not to view him as a child lately.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say he hasn't earned that particular reputation a couple times. The Halloween party comes to mind. But regardless, I think he's got his mind on, well, I think he's got his mind on his next docket, as it were.
Or a returning docket, as it would be.
Yes. So I think he's a little bit more concerned about that. So that might be some of his distraction. I think we can handle it, though. It'll be fine. And if it's not fine, well...
You'll make it fine. Thank you. And do let me know if you need anything else. I'm more than willing to clear out more rec rooms. All the rec rooms if you need them.
Well, I'll see if they have any medical personnel to spare. And if they do, then I will definitely take on a couple more if I can.
All right. I'm off to the mess hall. And page me if you want to Dr. Gino.
Absolutely.
All right. So as you, Dr. Maxwell, or Dr. Davis, sorry, as you're making your way into sick bay, you're met almost immediately by one of your senior doctors. It's Dr. Crawford steps forward and he's like, Cassie, you've known each other for a long time. So he gets kind of informal sometimes. And he says, Cassie, I need to talk to you like right now.
Certainly. What's wrong, Lee?
All right. So, I was just told 3 hours ago that I'm going to be caring for a patient with Hughes syndrome. We don't have the equipment to care for somebody in you know how advanced and virulent Hughes syndrome can be if left untreated.
Well, you're the experts, so do tell. I haven't studied this particular disease.
All right, he says, okay, well, she's gonna need round the clock care, okay, and the equipment alone needed to dialyze off the infected cells and the replication that needs to happen at a cellular level it's gonna take up an entire med bay. I mean, I've got 6 completely packed with. We've got that infection that went through from the last mission. People are still coming in. I mean, are you going to authorize me more space?
I'm pretty sure that we can find the space if we needed. Commander Mers was on board with such a thing. I also mentioned that we might need some additional medical personnel. I believe the equipment will come with Captain. So when Captain Shen comes on board, the equipment needed to treat her will also come on board. So we'll just have to set up in one of the med bays as best we can and make room where it's available. It'll be all right. Don't worry too much.
All right.
We'll get through this.
He kind of sits there for a second. He's like, okay, all right. You know how I am. I get a little worked up, especially,
But you're one of the best that there is, and I know that you're always going to do the best job that you possibly can. And you're only worried about your patients. So you worry about your patients, I'll worry about all the rest of us, all right?
All right, and then there's a little twinkle in his eye, and he says, you're going to take me off the rotation while I'm carrying for this one?
Well, I'd rather have to, don't I?
All right, he kind of smiles, and he says, yep, I guess you do. And he's like,
I think you're going to earn yourself some leave as well.
Oh, that'd be nice. And he kind of rubs his hands together. He says, I hear Riza's really nice about this time of year. And he just starts to walk off.
And Riza. Oh.
All right. So Gideon, you return back to the to main engineering.
Yeah, I think actually the trip on the hallway is that she kind of followed Lieutenant Frankie and kind of idly just tapping, and then at one point she kind of looked up and was like, I'm not supposed to be in this ring. This is your stuff, huh, Carmichael? Okay. Was there anything else you want to talk about? She hasn't said a word to you this entire time in the hallway, but like, anything else?
What?
I'm going to take that as a no.
Okay.
Okay.
Mess hall?
Oh, mess hall. Yeah. I don't think I've eaten in a while.
Yeah, it seems like you might not stop talking to eat. Did I say that out loud? Oh, God.
No, I appreciate your honesty. Honestly, that's really good stuff. That, most people are just like, give me the weird look or the side eye. But yeah, no,
I can do that too.
If you like, whatever makes you more comfortable. Honestly, I don't really talk to a lot of people on the ship very often. So, if I'm talking too much, you can just say stop.
Oh, it's actually kind of soothing, so I don't mind. So,
okay.
Mess hall?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I hear there's lasagna today. Well, I didn't hear it. I hacked the rotation of the chefs in the mess hall to see what we're having, and sometimes they've got this sometimes they really want to put like the chicken salad in there, and the chicken salad's kind of gross. So sometimes I remove that, for all our sakes.
You can do that? Yeah,
I can do a lot of stuff.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, put me down for removing the meatloaf from the rotation, and let's check out that lasagna.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ask you for a favor just then.
That's fine. People don't generally ask me stuff besides shut up, or can you move that, or oh my God, stop bleeding, or hey, can you fix this? So, no, that's fine. Favors are good.
Sorry, I've definitely been guilty of the can you fix this one.
Well, I got to be honest, that is kind of my job.
Yeah, you're really good at it, so.
Thanks. I worked really hard at it. Anyway, no meatloaf. Check that off the list.
Thank you.
She's going to tap, not looking at the thing that she's tapping on, and it's done. Okay, lasagna. And off we go.
Just a lunchroom hacker.
Really good. Messing with the replicator like that. Oh boy. Love it.
All right. So, unless there's anything that you want to try to accomplish or look into, we will skip ahead to the arrival at Starbase 17.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Starbase 17 is it's a deep space starbase, but it also has quite a bit of medical experts and things like that. So the fact that Captain Shen was being treated here, it's not unusual. As a matter of fact, just recently the chief of medicine of the starbase is actually a an expert in the field of Hughes syndrome, so that's why she went there. So she, even though it's a star base and technically they could probably just like umbilical over, or, have a shuttle or whatever, she is being beamed over, but the medical equipment had just been delivered like within the hour by shuttle, and is currently being put in actually one of the smaller rec rooms to accommodate for it. So yeah, Dr. Crawford is kind of like, you find out later, Cassie, that he kind of invoked your name to get this particular rec room, and whenever the operations officer in charge questioned it, he was like, you need to talk to Dr. Davis, or you need to talk to the captain. And that was kind of where it ended. So so that it's all getting set up in there, and the captain is like, he wants he wants Kujera to be in the transporter room when Captain Shen arrives. So at this point, Gideon and Frankie, you've eaten and very likely off shift at this point, because it's been a couple of hours. So you can do with that time whatever you like. If there's anything that you would like to accomplish or do, just let me know. All right.
Like to refresh herself on ion storms and the effects that those have on ships. Not just the Daedalus, because again, their shields are shitty. Not great. So I realized I have a limit. Gotta be careful. So those aren't so good, but our ships are way better and could be even better if Gideon got her hands on them. She has not since been allowed to do that since that one incident about 6 months back. That was a whole problem and a real big misunderstanding. But any case, wants to find out about ion interference in Starfleet crafts, Daedalus, and something like the Sequoyah, just so that she could be maybe prepared.
Okay. Well, here's an option. You would need like access to that probe data. If you had access to that probe data, you and possibly a science officer could probably work together to modulate the shields to be able to withstand this ionization, or at least protect a little bit better.
Okay, so we need to get to this probe.
So I think maybe we were chatting over our lasagna, because I did have lots of notes, and I probably brought my binder with me to the mess hall.
Sure.
So if you were kind of going on about this, I maybe would open up a few pages, and maybe we can go and try to get some more information. But I believe that Frankie would have access to that information as well.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I didn't know if it was restricted.
Collaboration.
Probably not.
Restriction is a fun word when you're someone like Gideon, because restriction sort of means you're not supposed to be able to access it, but that doesn't mean you can't.
All right.
All right. So accessing the information isn't necessarily that hard. It's just a matter of knowing what you're looking for. And yeah, Carmichael, you certainly could assist in that way. So essentially what we're going to do is we'll do an extended task in game terms. So we're going to do an extended task. So what we're going to do is I will set I'm going to go ahead and open up a new task, and we'll set the magnitude of it at 3. Okay. And then the difficulty is going to be 2. So what that meant, and the resistance is going to be 1. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have each of you roll your whatever skill you want to roll. And so Frankie, if you're how you do a skill roll in this game is you choose one of your attributes and one of your disciplines, and you explain to me, and it doesn't have to be, you're not justifying. Well, you kind of are justifying, but it's pretty lenient. Let me know the justification of why you're using the 2 the attribute and the discipline and how that factors into this task. And I will let you know what the difficulty is. And then you can then let me know if you want to spend momentum, which the group does not. Wait a minute. I think somebody paid for some momentum already in chat.
What? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it looks like 2 points of momentum were assigned from chat.
Wow.
So you have 2 momentum in your pool. And chat, if I am incorrect or I'm lowballing them, please let me know. So what you'll do is, and for those who aren't familiar with 2D20 system, the momentum is a group resource. So if one person generates momentum, it's not just theirs. If everyone can use it. So right now you're trying to use the probe data to maybe modulate your shields to make it so that way it doesn't affect your internal system so badly if you come into contact with it. So Frankie, what attribute and discipline are you using on this test? And what I need is magnitude means that difficulty means the difficulty is going to be base 2. Magnitude, we'll go into that as soon as we get to that point. But for right now, all I need to know is what attribute and what discipline are you using?
Okay, so discipline is was going to do science, but I think I'm going to just do science. And then for attribute, I'm debating between insight and reason.
Okay.
I think maybe reason, because I'm just trying to like use the information that's already at hand and trying to like decipher it. So I think I'll say reason.
Okay.
So reason and science, does that sound?
Reason and science is perfect. Okay. So then the next question is, do any of your focuses apply?
No. I don't think so.
Okay. So focus don't apply. I already said the difficulty is 2. So you would change your DC on your character sheet. You would change where it says 15, and right there next to it is a DC 1. Click, there you go, DC 2. All right. The complication ring is just going to be basic, so that means on a 20, it counts as a complication. Now, my next question is, do any of your values, are they either supported, or does this go against any of your values?
I mean, this is pretty aligned with all of her values, which are like a lot of them. There's nothing science can't explain. We just need to uncover the pieces, things like that. Like she's just she's sure there's an answer here.
Right. So that what that means is you could, if you wanted to, you don't necessarily have to, you could spend a point of determination to give a point of determination to give yourself essentially a dice that has already rolled a 1. So essentially a critical success. You buy a critical success with a point of determination. That's usually, you get determination by acting with your values and through role play and things like that. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead on everybody on your character sheet. Go ahead and click a point of determination. So you should all be at 4 points of determination.
Also, this was something that just to go over it again, you want to roll the lowest number you can in the system.
Correct. It is equal to or less than your target number.
Okay.
So, for this, I mean, we're just playing around with it at this point, kind of going over the basics of how to complete a task. So for right now, for Frankie's part, what you're doing is, you've got 2 dice, which is, what those 2 green dots mean. And then do you want to spend any momentum? Now the group has 2 points of momentum. Do you want to spend any momentum to increase your dice pool?
Oh, so I can spend a momentum to get me 3 dice at this point if I wanted to.
Correct. You would spend 1. It's 1 for 1. Yeah. And it's
Got
not
it,
being
yeah.
greedy because the way this game is designed is the more you use momentum, the more you generate, because you're rolling more dice and you're just generating and generating and generating. So don't be bashful about momentum.
Okay, so let's say I did use momentum and I had 3 dice. would that mean I had 3 chances to get roll under a 15, or is there anything that would, if I rolled all of them under a 15, is there some benefit to doing that?
Yes, for each. Well, right now you need 2 successes, so 2 of your d20s.
Oh, I need. Because it's a difficulty. Yes. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Yeah. So right now you're looking for 2 successes of 15 or less on 2d20. So I mean, odds are you're probably going to do it. Now, if you want to hedge your bets, then you would spend a point of momentum to roll 3 dice, or you could spend a point of determination, which would give you a dice that automatically rolls a 1. A 1 is considered a critical success and counts as 2 successes.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this in character because I think Frankie would really want to like impress Gideon right now, and so but I don't know that she would spend momentum to do. So I think she would spend a point of determination to guarantee one of those successes. So how do I do that? Technically speaking, mechanically speaking.
So mechanically on the sheet, what you're going to do is where you see on your main tab, you see where it says determination. You got 4 dots. There's that little dice. Just click that. And then now in the chat, it says you used a point of determination to add a natural 1. So it automatically kicked your number of dice to 3 because you spent the determination. One of those dice has turned up a 1. So now you're rolling 2 dice. You'll still roll your 2 dice. And then it'll factor in that 3rd dice being a natural 1. So now that you've got that, go ahead and you've factored in your focus. You factored in your values. Do you have any pieces of equipment that may help you in this?
No.
Okay. The ship's computers are so sophisticated that you could technically say that you're just using the computers to help you, and I will allow that. So go ahead and give yourself an additional dice because that's what that does. So go ahead and instead of 3 dots, you got 4 dots. There you go. So now you're ready to roll. So where that little dice symbol there next to where it says FOC on your character sheet, click that once. There you go. All right. So now you look in the chat and it says, so your target was 15, your focus was 1 because you didn't, if you would have, one of your focuses would have been applicable. Then instead of needing a 1 for a critical success, you look at your discipline, and it would have been 4. So anything 4 or less would have counted as 2 successes.
Got it.
But the default is 1. So your difficulty was 2. You scored 4 successes. So you generated 2 points of momentum. So what you do as the player who generated the momentum is you double click the momentum chip twice to add 2 more momentum. There you go. And now the group has 4 momentum.
Nice.
And you cap out at 6. So that's
so use it or
well, actually, technically the
use it or kind of lose it.
The group has 2 because chat bought you 2, so you can actually go above 6 for the purposes of this game because we're doing it as an interactive thing with chat. Now, there was a question in chat. It is 50 bits for a point of momentum, not 5,000 or whatever the people are like throwing it out there. No, it's 50.
I said 5,000 for a complication.
Oh, so I see what you're doing. I see.
But I was lying about that. It's not.
All right, so Frankie, you come in and you kick butt. So now narratively you scored. Not only did you succeed, but you exceeded it plus. So how did that happen? What narratively? Do you have any ideas or thoughts on kind of what you did? Because you could technically consider that what's called a breakthrough, which actually gives you when we roll to see how well you do this task, which will come up here as soon as Gideon makes their roll. You can actually spend momentum on this to make it a little easier and get done with the task faster.
Got it. I mean, I think this is more in the realm of engineering than Frankie is used to. And so I think she was just really hoping the dots would connect. And I think she's just as shocked as anyone might be that whatever she was trying to figure out kind of worked. Right. So she's just kind of looking over expectantly at Gideon to see if she done good.
Oh yeah, Gideon's got like her eyes are all lit up, and she's got her kind of hands like this, and she's like, "Oh, it's so nice to see the young kids so good at their jobs and doing this science. I'm really proud of you. That's really good work. Now let's see what we can do with it."
All right, so now it's Gideon's turn. All right,
Okay.
so what attribute and discipline are you going to use for this task?
Okay, so question. Is
Mhm.
this something that I'm finagling with the actual, like, am I actually doing this to the ship right now, or am I just like figuring out how to do it?
This is essentially you're doing the theoretical model at this point. You haven't applied it to the ship, but let's put it this way. What do you want to do? Do you want to do in theoretical model, or you want to do it like just do it?
Oh, let's do it. Let's do. So my decision there was whether, if it was theoretical, just do daring, because then I could, connect the dots and go real big, go big or go home. But if I'm actually going to be implementing this thing, and it might be a little weird or finicky, I would maybe want to do control so I knew that I was doing it correctly. But no, let's go with daring.
All right. So you're going with daring.
Yeah.
And what discipline? Engineering?
Let's do engineering, because I capped out on that.
There you go. Right. Okay. So So Frankie, you come up with solid data to support what this whole thing's going on with the probe. You filter the probe data. You make it into this perfect model for simulation. You're figuring you're probably going to run a few test runs and things like that through the computer before you do anything. And Gideon just starts ripping open the front deflector and starts digging around inside it.
It was good that you put it in a pivot table. A lot of the kids these days don't know how to put it in a pivot table. That's a smart thing to know. It really helps you out in the world. So anyway, with your data, what we'd need to do in here is move that around. And okay, we'd have to redirect that. Oop, there goes the lights in that sector. We'll put that back on in a second. And I'll do that with engineering. And okay, so how do I do this? Sorry, I know you just walked through it with Frankie,
it's perfectly fine. No, perfectly fine. Okay, so first question is, do any of your focuses apply to this?
Well, one of my focuses, I've got power systems, I've got experimental technologies, I've got power systems. Well, I've got ectoplasm power systems, and I've got computers. Yeah, so Morgan didn't quite know what that meant, but it sounded very cool, so I chose it. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
So I've got a lot of different focuses here. I don't know which ones apply.
I would probably say, because this is something that what you're trying to do, at least from my perspective, is you're trying to apply add something to the main deflector that really doesn't necessarily belong there. So that sounds like experimental technologies to me.
Okay, so I hit the little FOC thing near the bottom?
Correct. And I'm sorry, but Frankie, I meant to mention that you could always look at your talents. And if you click the little Starfleet symbol, it will actually open up and let you know what each one of those talents do. And I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that, but you rock the house, so it's not that big of a deal.
Who needs talent,
right?
Really?
But
You've got all the talent you need, kid, in your
Yeah.
little finger.
So always open up your talents to see if they'll apply.
Cool.
And I did not
Okay.
enter testing a theory or intense scrutiny. I thought I did. Let me double check.
So I know at least one of those has to do with something with a task. Not sure. But would bold engineering help with that? Or unless I would need to buy something, right? When I attempt a task with that discipline, which I am.
There we go.
And
I'm just going to drop testing a theory and intense scrutiny back onto your character sheet, because I actually did put that in there, and for whatever reason, the one I put, I didn't replace the one that was empty. So let's do that.
reason or control. Yeah, we're not doing that one. Let's see. When I attempt a task using engineering or science, I may roll 1 additional d20 so long as I succeeded at a previous task covering the same thing. Well, I haven't rolled anything yet.
Right.
So I can't use that. And I haven't bought any d20s. So let's just go with it. Now, with the values, I have sort of perfection is meaningless and nothing is beyond improving. Right. Which I think could factor into the shield. So that's definitely aligned.
And that's all you really need. I mean, you can, if there are values that may conflict with each other, but that's not really important, at least for the point of this task. So yeah, perfection is meaningless. Nothing is beyond improving. Sounds like it perfectly is perfectly within Gideon's wheelhouse. So what that means is you can certainly spend a point of determination if you wish on this task.
Can I use momentum?
Oh, yeah. You can always use momentum. It's just if something aligns with your values, that opens the door for being able to use determination.
Yeah, but that's a guarantee. And what's science and experiment without a little risk?
There you go.
So I don't want to use a determination,
okay,
but I will use a momentum. Does that count with the bold engineering thing? If I would. Okay.
Yes.
So I get to re-roll something.
Right.
If it goes wonky.
All right. So go ahead and drag and drop one of those momentum chips. There you go.
Bonk.
And now you're rolling 3 dice.
3 dice.
Your focus does apply.
Is it a DC2?
Well, it's a DC2 if you're going to do it in a theoretical sense. You're going to just directly apply it to the ship without running any safety protocols. So I'm going to increase your difficulty by 3. Or by 1, not by 3. I forgot to give myself my initial threat. So I'm going to spend a point of threat to increase your difficulty by 1 because you're applying it directly to the ship without testing it first. So your DC 3. You are at 3 dice.
Yeah,
seems fine.
Right.
Gideon is excited.
Yeah.
Morgan's a little scared.
Exactly. All right.
But you know what? I feel like everybody's used to this by now. Okay, let's do it. So DC 3, I'm rolling 3 dice. I have my focus. And I succeeded.
3 successes, yes. All right. And see, so that's because your DC was, your target number was 15. You rolled a 3 and a 15, but the 3, because your focus applied, counted as 2 successes. So the 15 was a 1 success and the 3 was a 2 success. So 3 successes.
Excellent.
All right. So yeah, for a split second, Frankie, it's like the power goes, like you have a brownout and then it comes back up.
Okay, that goes against everything I know as a scientist, but it worked. You didn't even test it.
Your boss hates me. Just hates me.
But
it worked.
I think my mom's going to hate you too. I think you're going to be a bad influence on me.
Oh, well.
Because it worked.
It did work.
All right.
So here's the thing. When you know a ship as well as I do, sometimes you just feel it. Sometimes you feel it and it doesn't work out. But sometimes you feel it and it does. And those are the ones that keep you going. So she's going to plunk the panel back and like push it back together a little bit.
Well, hold on a second. So what we're doing is an extended task. Okay.
Oh.
So what that means is now you both have succeeded. So essentially,
what that means is there's still a chance for us to fail.
Well, no, it means you didn't screw anything up.
Too soon.
So what? Yeah, you celebrated too soon. So what that means is you're going to roll whatever discipline you used. That's how many D6 you roll. And you're going to roll, and so how you're going to do this, so Brittany, how you do this is on the bottom of your screen, you see the D6 just sitting there. Mm-hmm. You left click and hold, and then you right click to increase the number of dice in your hand while you're holding the left click down.
Yep.
And then whatever discipline you were using, science, which was
4.
Yeah. So you would just release that dice pool onto the chat, and that'll roll those D6s.
I'm doing it.
There you go.
It is done.
Yep, it is done, and you did great. Because what you're looking for is you're looking for 5s and 6s on this, because every 5 and 6.
I was gonna say. Didn't look good at first, but
there's no bad, because you neither of you had any complications. So what you're looking for is a total of 3 5s or 6s on your D6 rolls. So right now, just with the data that Frankie did, you've completed this task, because you only needed 3, because that's what the magnitude is. So you got 3 work out of it. So Gideon, you get to roll 5d6 also, or get to roll your 5d6, because you also completed your part of the task to determine how much work you did. So
Cool. Okay, so I have a Mac, and I haven't figured out how to do the clicky thing correctly with the ad. So I'm just gonna add them one at a time, and everybody's just gonna have to deal with it.
The suspense is killing me.
Well, it's bad so far.
It's looking great.
Well, not so great. Oh no.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
So like I said, Frankie's data did it. All you really had to do was plug it in, and it worked. So yeah, it really it was a matter of you both completed the task, and it was a group thing. It's not like, it's not like you didn't do anything, but it's just she made it so easy for you that all you really had to do was plug it in.
And honestly,
just loosened the lid. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, and when again, the pivot table, really important, saved me a whole bunch of work. So I just bunked it right in, and it went like Billy-O. So that's great. Teamwork really does make the dream work, and the dream right now is making sure we don't fry with ions.
Sounds good to me. And if you could put in a good word with, Sivak,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say boo.
So maybe what we do is I tell Commander Mers that you did a good job, and Mers tells CVAC that you did a good job, because if it comes directly from me, you're going to get probably less happy eyebrow twitches out of CVAC than you want.
Got it. Good plan. Good plan.
But I'll tell the commander, no problem. This was great work. You did a great job.
Thanks.
All right, and we will cut to the transporter room, where, let me go ahead and get that. Transporter room. So you are all now Mers and Dr. Davis, you are in the transporter room with the captain, waiting for Captain Shen to arrive. And as you're standing there, you can see that the captain is starting to look. You've never seen this before, but he's looking a little nervous. Like
nervous?
a little bit of perspiration on his top lip, and that's the most you've ever seen this man sweat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Mers will come out and say it. Are you nervous?
Oh, well, it's an important mission.
You've never behaved this way, even when you were fighting Klingons. You're nervous.
All right, now, just he says, Cooch, just bear with me, okay? All right, so the transporter chief is kind of standing there waiting, like any day now, and the captain is just kind of still standing there, like hasn't given the order to beam over Captain Shen, and the transporter chief is just looking at you, Mers, like, what am I doing?
Captain.
What? Oh, yeah,
Maxwell.
yeah. Energize. He's like, okay, and this is the toggle switches and sliders. So sliders just go up or they go down. So you see the slider go,
Yep.
And then the transporter goes off. And let's see here. I know she's in here somewhere. Let me do this. Nope, there. Oops. Damn. There we go. All right. Let me share that so that way. Oh, can everybody see that or no?
It's. I think it's tucked behind the transporter.
No, I don't see it.
Oh, move your transporter box.
I don't see it. I see it on stream, but I don't see it on my
Yeah, it's
my
not.
own.
This is a me problem. This is not a. This is certainly not a.
Is that Jessica Alba?
It is Jessica Alba.
Okay. Jessica Alba's coming on.
Now I understand why he was sweaty.
She
No,
doesn't
I
look
see.
nearly sick enough, but love it. Yeah, this is a good reason to be sweaty.
All right, so Captain Shen materializes in the transporter room, and immediately looks over at Maxwell and says, and she looks really good, but you can tell like just around her eyes and whatnot, she looks really tired, and she looks at Maxwell and she says, "Jack, you look like hell." And he's like, Tana, it's good to see you again. This is my chief medical officer, Cassie Davis. She'll be showing you to the place. And looks over at Cassie.
How you doing, Captain? Nice to meet you.
Doctor.
We'll take good care. Don't you worry about a thing. I have an expert on board to take good care of you. Meet Dr. Lee Crawford.
All right, and Crawford's standing there, and he nods and says, "It's a pleasure, Captain. I've reviewed your case, and we'll make you as comfortable as possible." And she sniffs a little bit, and she says, "Thank you, but I'm very interested in finding my crew." And then
Kujera is going to step forward and he's going to say, "Completely understandable. If you would follow us to your room where your medical equipment is set up, we will get you briefed on everything we're about to go forward with."
all right, she smiles like twinkling smile at Mers, and says, "Commander Mers,
Captain.
your reputation precedes you. It's my pleasure meeting you."
Flattery can wait. Your bedroom as well. Oh no, that came out way too. Oh no, that came out way too strong. No. I meant like the room she's gonna be staying in. No.
The captain's like,
Locked in. It's locked in.
No, it's not. It's not. Your room as well. Live play. It's a live play. I didn't mean that.
We can we'll reverse it.
Yeah.
I'm
You can retcon that.
No, I'm spinning a threat. It's locked.
Don't put a threat, Chet.
I mean, she's pretty and all, but
Everybody be sweating in that room.
No. Oh my god.
All right, and everybody in the room just kind of stops, and then Captain looks over and says, you're gonna have to forgive him. He sometimes puts his foot in his mouth." And then she just smiles and says, "It's okay."
I hate this. I have to leave. You have to find another person to play this.
oh.
Oh. I'm gonna pretend that never happened. And he
It's
says,
perfectly in character.
Yes, and everybody in
Just
the
pretend it didn't happen.
everybody in the room the whole room went silent, and then the captain said, "You'll just have to forgive him," blah blah blah, and then it as if it was dropped, completely dropped, except for the transporter chief just kind of goes.
I'm not playing a horn dog. I'm not trying to do this.
I got it.
Thank you. Anyway, he was trying to save frickin' Max's skin here. Got his own.
That's what makes it even worse.
It really is.
In a way, you did.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
All right. So she doesn't speak or anything other than just a little chit chat about how nice the ship is, and this is the first time she's ever been in a Constitution class ship, and it seems top of the line, and the O'Reilly is an older ship. She's got some character to her, but she's nothing like this. This is pretty impressive, Jack. And she says it exactly like that. This is pretty impressive, Jack.
Can I get? Is there some?
Everyone's uncomfortable, huh?
Yeah. Is there an insight that I can pull from that?
Yeah, if you want to. Sure. You want to make a roll and try and dig into that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's insight, and what discipline you think would factor into this? Because technical, I would probably say, just looking at it, would either medicine if you're trying to like psychoanalyze, or maybe something like that, or you could use command, which is essentially your default, like trying to get people to do things, but it's also a charisma thing. So I would say one of the two, unless you come up with something else. I mean, I'm perfectly. The only one I would kind of squint at would be con, because that's your piloting skills. So.
I would say command, just because I feel like it falls back on some of her familiarity with the sort of command structure and how they normally interact with each other, and being around that, and she's kind of like, what's going on there?
Okay, right, so
we'll do command and insight.
Okay. All right. With basically, I mean, there's not a whole lot under the surface here, at least. But I'm going to say that Captain Shen, she's not overly hostile, but she certainly doesn't seem very warm to the captain. So I'm going to make it a DC 1, just to kind of maybe you can infer something a little bit deeper. Do any of your focuses apply in this?
Maybe negotiation.
Okay.
But
yeah,
that's the only one I can think of that would be.
Okay. So I guess the question then would be, are you doing this purely as a passive person, or are you trying to strike up conversation to get information from her?
I would say it has more to do with the reading the mood of the people at the table, right? Okay. So when you're doing negotiations, it's more about listening than it is about talking.
Sure.
So she's sort of just listening to these conversations between them and kind of trying to gauge, like, what is the relationship here, and what do I have to worry about in the future? Okay.
All right. That's perfectly valid. Values. Do you wish to spend determination? So do any of these align with your values?
So I don't think it's that sort of, super must pass. This is like I just feel like I kind of need to know what's going on here, mostly for her own sort of, comfort. If there's an issue later on, she kind of wants to feel like she knows what's going on.
Okay. All right. So, but none of it conflicts with any of your values either.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So, and then do any of your talents apply?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think most of you're not assisting anybody in a social conflict. You're not
medicine.
Not doing recover actions or anything like that. So yeah.
No.
Okay. All right. So you're looking at right now. Your difficulty is 1. Your target number is 16. Your focus does apply. So anything 4 or less is going to count as 2 successes. And do you want to spend any momentum on this roll?
No.
Okay, so you're doing 2d20, looking for 16s or less. There you go. 2 successes, so you generated a point of momentum. Okay, so what you with like info gathering and things like that, a success gives you information. Momentum gives you more information. So the base information on this is that they are reacting, or at least she is reacting to him as if she has had at one time a emotional relationship, whether it be friendship or more, with him, but for whatever reason, it may have ended badly, and she's a little bit, I wouldn't say she's not bitter about it. It's more of she kind of sees him for who he is.
Okay. So she has sort of a negative view of him. Well, join the club, darling.
Right. Right, exactly. So
welcome aboard.
like I said, though, if you want to spend momentum, I won't make you spend more than, just one momentum would give you a little bit more.
Do I want to know more about this? Right? Sure. You know what? She'll spend a little bit more momentum, because at this point, considering we're all going to have to work together and potentially trust each other, she kind of wants to have a better idea of like what's going on in Captain Shin's head.
Okay.
Apparently have another 4 momentum in the chat.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Well, thank you.
All right. So
Yeah.
you are technically
Oz the terrible and great. You are both great and terrible.
yeah. So technically you are at 7 momentum right now.
Wow.
But
Good to know.
it only goes to 6, so you have an extra one there. Okay, so your point of momentum spent. So as you're watching this, and you're kind of like watching how, because they're talking to each other, and they're being cordial about it, and he's being a little bit aloof about it also. So you get this as you're watching it. You come to the realization that they did have a romantic relationship at one time, and she broke his heart, and he still holds a candle for her.
Okay.
Womp womp.
I know this isn't my time, but how much of that did I know?
I'll say with the momentum spent, because that's a group resource, you pick up on it too.
Yeah, but I mean, how much did he personally tell me?
Personally, no. You knew that, well, in the interactions that you've had with Maxwell, especially like when you were like on leave, or like on shore, like shore duty or things like that, shore leave, you know that he's gotten drunk more than once and talked about Tana, the only woman he ever loved. But he never never put it together until this.
Oof, yeah. Oof. All right.
Awkward. All right, so Cassie is like, I mean, she's sort of like taking note of this, and she doesn't say anything other than she might try to position herself to deflect any tension.
Okay.
And to try and help Captain Shin not feel like she is in any way beholden or required to deal with Captain Maxwell at all.
Okay.
Like, she'll sort of go into, okay.
Right.
Let's make sure that she feels safe.
Okay.
And that nothing about this is uncomfortable for her, because it's going to be real uncomfortable no matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where Mers was stepping in to kind of take over that, because he saw that it was going to be awkward.
Yeah.
Disregarding that I made
especially
made
since
it
she had to call in a favor, like she had to like call him up and basically be like, "Hey, are you in the area?" Like,
Yeah.
or were we assigned?
No,
From
no.
Starfleet.
In the captain's log, he said that
He did say it was a favor.
she called in a favor to have this ship take. Because essentially, I mean, because he was treating it as such a milk run, you know, to have a top of the line Constitution class starship transport a captain from a starbase to, you know, to go and look for her ship that probably just had some, you know, communications outages or something like that, you know, it's a bit over the top to send an entire starship to do that.
That's true.
So, I mean, just from Starfleet protocol, it would have been whoever's the closest ship, not necessarily, you know, the Sequoyah. But you were actually in the process of finishing up another mission in a different sector and got called here to do this. So she called. It wasn't like she called him personally. It was, hey, Admiral Schmuckatelli, can you have us your fastest starship come here? It's the Sequoyah. Okay, fine.
I was gonna say, what a boss move of this woman who knows she trampled over this dude's heart and basically called the fanciest Uber she could. Like, I know you still got a candle for me, but can you give me a ride? Okay, thanks. Bye.
Oh my god. Yeah, that took some. Yep.
I admire her moxie.
Yes.
All right. So when you get to the rec room that is now essentially her med bay, then Crawford just kind of steers her into the room, and as Maxwell's standing there, I mean, just Cassie, you can do whatever you want to, but Maxwell is just like. As soon as he walks in that room, he intends to close the door in the captain's face. You know that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want the captain anywhere near this, and it's just in that he kind of looks, sees Maxwell walking, and he is going to push the button unless you stop him.
He's going to. Why do I think he's shutting the door so that she's not involved in the conversation?
No. So that way Maxwell just stays out of the med bay, so he doesn't interfere.
She'll stop him.
All right. He's like, he looks at you and like, okay, and then turns around and is like, okay. He's like, okay, Captain, over this way, and he leads her to a diagnostic table to start working. He's like, I've got, you hear he's talking in the background. I've got your medical records from the starbase. I see where your procedure was halted, and we'll have to back up a little bit to kind of make up for lost time. And just blah 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 blah. And then, so Captain is standing in the doorway. You stop the door from closing, and he's just kind of standing there looking at you, Cassie.
So a couple of questions, and Dr. Lee, I think this would be good for you to explain to everyone. Any sort of the ability to contract this disease or to spread it among the crew.
All right.
What should we do in terms of making sure that's not an issue?
So Crawford he's like looking down, and he kind of looks up at you and nods, you know, like, oh yeah, and almost you can see on his face like, oh crap, I forgot to mention that. He's like, that's why we needed the space. She has to be under, it's not a quarantine, but it's certainly an isolation, mostly because, it's not an airborne contagion. It's actually a fungal contagion that's altering her at a cellular level.
Is it contact?
No. Blood and mostly it's in blood or bone marrow. So unless you come into contact with either one of those, but still, just for the purposes of we are on a starship. Things happen. Things rock to the left and fall. So keeping her here in this med bay, and she just kind of sits there for a second. She says, "At the starbase, I was allowed to walk around. Am I being confined to this room?" And she looks right at Mers. She doesn't look at the captain. She looks right at Mers.
Absolutely not. We'll just have to take precautions to make sure that the crew and everywhere that you will be planning on visiting is properly sterilized, just in case. I would rather be overprotective and say we were doing too much than do too little and regret it.
Well, under the care of Dr. Crawford here, you'll be doing what he says. So, if Dr. Crawford says that you can leave, then you can leave. And if Dr. Crawford says you cannot leave, then you cannot leave.
All right. And then she looks right at Crawford like, what do you got to say? And he just kind of sits there for a second and he looks at Dr. Davis, looks back at her and says, we should probably limit you to here, but if you want to leave the treatment area, I ask that I go with you. And she's like, stone face, just looks right at the captain and says, that'll be fine.
All right, so this treatment of yours it takes, how long is the exact time, Dr. Crawford?
Approximately 3 weeks.
All right, so for the foreseeable, you will be under our treatment. It is my understanding that it causes some extreme lethargy.
She
We'll
nods.
do our best to make you comfortable and to provide you with some stimulants so that you're able to stay awake at least normal hours. However, there's only so much that we can do. We don't want to overstress your system. So we'll do what we can in that case, but for the most part, we really do need you to rest. All right?
Yes, doctor.
Now, would we like to go over a few things with her and get her input, and then we can leave her to rest? Does that sound good, Commander Mers?
Absolutely. As an aside, being that this is a fungal infection, I'm actually one of the better people to be around. As I'm joined, we're pretty much invincible to parasites.
All right. She just looks at you and she smiles again and she says, lucky you.
Well, anyway, let's go over so do we brief her and what our plan is, or?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we don't necessarily have to do all that in roleplay unless you want to. She's well aware of, the situation with her ship, and she probably has equal intel as what you have as to, what's going on. So yeah, there's no need to rehash all of that over again. Okay. As a matter of fact,
Mers.
Go ahead.
Oh, Mers does stress that we're taking this seriously. I'm taking this seriously.
Thank you. And it doesn't take, an insight roll to know that that thank you was directed towards Mers at the expense of Maxwell.
Does she have any insights, additional insights about the area that the ship went missing in, or?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, so she says, yeah, so, and you can tell now that she's kind of let her guard down a little bit, now that she's talking about her ship and not, her condition. You see that she does look a little bit more fatigued. And she says, yeah, the planet or the system that we were checking out is JM 5512. It's a Class M planet. It's inhabited by a civilization known as the Genmark. They are pre-warp. So we were there as to essentially just survey the planet, determine how close they were to warp technology, and possibly turn it over to Starfleet so we could send in some trained observers to observe their civilization. We were actually it's pretty dry stuff. So when the opportunity to go to Starbase 17 popped up, I put my second in command in charge of it and, shuttled to Starbase 17. But then that's when I got notification that Starfleet actually contacted the O'Reilly and told about the deep space probe that picked up another planet that we previously didn't know about, and the data in it indicated that this was a dead planet, but possibly a civilization had once been there, and that the archaeology and anthropology corps would probably want to go and check it out, and that that was going to be set up as our next mission after the Jean-Marc. We were gonna survey that planet as well, and the anomalies are the ion effects, that the strange ion effects, which I'm sure some of you have looked at that brief. So yeah, I mean, that was basically it, you know. And then the O'Reilly went to investigate this probe that stopped transmitting, and then they stopped transmitting.
Well, all right. So they had moved on from the Jean-Marc civilization and this planet, that Class M planet, to investigate the new planet.
Right, the new
and that
planet.
is when they lost communication. Right,
the new planet is designated as GD 5512. It's a Class K planet, and in Star Trek terms, that is a planet that is uninhabitable or uninhabited, but could be habitable with like domes and things like that. So it's possible to inhabit this planet. It's just not inhabited right now.
Okay. Did we bring up the ion stuff? And did Lieutenant Salt and Lieutenant Carmichael talk about what they did?
They have not.
Are we there?
You are
I
not there,
you were
but
not there for some reason.
you are not there, but we'll say that perhaps you could have been briefed. You know, because everything gets reported. So the first officer on your pad would would probably have the latest report from engineering saying that they did this.
So it's less of a full report. So first off, I think there's probably an alert of like brownout, right?
Right.
And then you have a whole bunch of text messages type things, whatever the text message equivalent is in Star Trek, from Gideon. Like, don't panic. We got it. Did some really cool stuff. Fix the shields. Ions are not going to bother us.
Okay, so what that translates to when he talks to Captain Shen is, and we did some modifications to the shields.
Right. So you do know about that now.
Okay, awesome.
Also, there are a whole bunch of other text messages that are like, the kid's great, by the way. Tell Mr. Grumpy Pants over in the science division that she is just the best. Like her a lot. Totally worth it.
Good. Okay. I did want to talk to Sivak and if Lieutenant Carmichael eventually.
Okay. Sure.
But it's not super urgent, I don't think. We'll see where this goes first.
Actually, this is, unless the doctor has anything more, then, Crawford is just like, looking at you as if, can I get started now, or are you going to...
Yeah, she's already helping him. She's basically assisting while we sort of like get her comfortable and get her started, and like she can continue to talk, but we're already working.
Okay. We will... Kujera will usher everyone out, including Captain Max, who's been sitting in the doorway.
Right, he hasn't said a word. He's just kind of standing there. All right, so then you who are you escorting out? It's just the captain, right? Because Doctor's staying in the med bay.
Well, weren't Frankie and Gideon in there too?
No.
Oh no,
they were.
Messages.
It was just messages.
He just sent me messages. Okay, never mind. I thought we were all there for some
All right,
reason.
so you escort. You kind of push the captain out, and the door closes,
Yeah.
and then he looks at you, and he's like, "Kuj, what do you think?"
About what?
Isn't it obvious? She called. He's like now he's walking like he's headed towards the bridge. She called, right?
She called Starfleet.
And he looks over and he's like, right. You're right. I'm just, I keep playing it in my head, and it's like, oh, man. I never thought I'd see her again, It's just.
That much is evident in your.
She's quarter beta Z, right? Did I ever tell you that?
So are you worried she felt your emotions or?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what she's never really talked about that a whole lot, but anyway, she certainly can tap into how people are feeling and things like that. I don't know if she can, like read them and stuff like that or whatever. I know she can't read minds or anything like that, but oh man, she's just, I can't believe she's on my ship. This is crazy.
Yes, she's on your ship in a very official capacity.
Right.
Also, she's got fungus.
Right. And then, that wafts out. Those words
It's
just kind
Gideon from the Raptors,
filter out of one of the Jeffries tubes. And he's like, right. He turns and he looks at you and he kind of puts his hand on you, like taps your chest, and he's like, I'm gonna need you to make sure I don't mess this up.
Oh,
Max.
Side quest.
Look, if we pull this off, then maybe she won't think I'm such a complete, turd. Okay?
Look, this is going to sound, I know you don't really understand this, but I want you to try and understand this. I am Mers. I've been Mers now for a while. And now that I'm Mers, I've lived 5 lifetimes, mostly female, or at least you're equivalent to it. And I'm gonna tell you, this is not something I can help with. If you're expecting me to be the bridge to Commander Shen, it is only going to burn. Whatever happened between you and the captain is going to have to come from you. I am going to talk to her in a official capacity, and I'm going to make sure that she gets her ship, and I will tell her how abiding and understanding you've been with the situation in allotting her the things she needs, but I am not going to play wingman.
All right, he kind of sits there for a second, and he's like soaking it in, and then looks at you and is like, then he kind of gives you one of those gotcha smiles. He says,
No.
I see. I gotcha.
No, you don't.
And he's like, and he starts to walk again towards the turbo lift to head towards the bridge, and he's like, so how many women are in there?
My former hosts, all of them.
So basically, you can help me understand what I've always never understood.
Oh boy.
That's what I like.
Oh boy.
Because, yeah, I could ask you questions. Yeah, this works out great.
No.
It doesn't work that
Max.
All right, fine. Look, I get it, okay? I'll tell you what. From this moment on, 100% professional. That's me.
I would love to see it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to the bridge.
You can. That's fine. May I suggest one of the first things you can do as a 100%? You can start by calling me Commander, or Commander Mers, or even Mers. I know it's been difficult for you to not go by my former name, but I am Mers now.
All right, he sits there for a second, then he looks at you for a moment. You got it.
Thank you.
No problem. Can I go to the bridge now?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Commander. And he turns and goes into the turbo lift, turns back around and gives you another grin. All right. So what we are going to do now is, because we're just about out of time, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up the next session in that there's going to be plenty of time for, we could even do flashback conversations if you want to rekindle some conversations and whatnot. But what happens is the ship arrives at the point of which where the O'Reilly is, and you can see this. It is this purple planet, purple kind of like a purple and gray planet, and you can see the O'Reilly is in geosynchronous orbit right next to this probe that is also like in orbit of this planet. And the sensors indicate that there is no life aboard this ship, and that there is no power aboard this ship when you arrive. At the time that this happens, Captain Shin is actually on the bridge with the bridge crew, as an observer, and she is standing there. Crawford's standing there with her, and whenever the reports come in, no life aboard, no power, it's dead in the water. She grabs a hold of the rail, and she looks at Maxwell, and she says, "They've got to be on the planet, Jack." And he turns and he looks at her and he says, "That's what I'm thinking." And then he stands up and he puts out his hand and grabs a hold of, like offers her his hand and says, "And I'm taking you to him." And he looks over at Crawford and says, "Doctor, you're with us. Mers, you have the bridge." And that's where we'll end this session, and we'll pick it up there next time.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
All right.
Oh no.
That'll go great.
So for next time, what we will decide, and we'll talk about this. The cast and I will talk about this. Is what will be the intentions. There will also be something set up in the very beginning that you'll have to deal with, but we'll kind of go from there. This very much was let's get a feel for the game. Let's get a feel for some of the roles and things like that. So that was all by design. Now, before we go, I had mentioned in the beginning of the broadcast that we are giving away a hard copy of the deluxe edition of Star Trek Adventures Core Rulebook, and the way that you can win said rulebook is by using a hashtag, and it's going to be, for this one, it's going to be hashtag ST Sequoyah. So the name of the ship, ST Sequoyah. If you use that on any social media, we'll check it and we'll keep tabs on who it is, and then we'll have a drawing after this mission is over with. And so then next mission we'll have another hashtag that you can use in social media for chances to win the brand new deluxe edition of the Star Trek Adventures Core Rulebook. So, all right. So now that we're out of time, for this episode, how about we go around the table and let everyone know where you can be found. We'll start with Commander Mers.
Hi, I'm Rihanna again. I've been playing Commander Mers. It's been a lot of fun figuring him out. You can find me on Twitter at DIY Ferret. I pretty much use that everywhere. It's like DIY, like do-it-yourself ferret. And I've been doing a bit more with streaming. I wouldn't say I'm like doing this full time at all, but it's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see y'all next time.
All right. Next, we have Lieutenant Salt.
Okay. Well, this has been so much fun. I hope my voiceover stream is not too grating for everyone. But my name is Morgan. You can find me on Twitter at Thistle Raven. You can find me on the Taking Initiative podcast Twitter as well as TI_pod. And yeah, I'm so excited about this. I had such a blast playing this, and I'm so excited to see where we go next.
And next we have Frankie Carmichael.
Hi, I'm Brittany Leonagay. I've been playing Frankie Carmichael, whom I love, and I will never take my hair out of this formation ever again. I can be found on Twitter at Brittany Lee. I can be found also on the D20 Dames podcast. You can find us at d20dames.com or wherever you find podcasts. I also stream occasionally for funsies on Facebook at fb.gg/BrittanyGames. What else? Yeah, that's it. I've also had a blast. I love playing with you all.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Dr. Cassie Davis.
All right, y'all. My name is Leslie. It's great to have been able to play with everybody. You can find me on Twitter at LeslieGMGirl. But it's really girl. And you can find me on the Gamers Table on Monday nights. I'm playing Conan like every other Monday night with Morgan and with Eric. And then every other Tuesday night, I'm here playing this, and this is so exciting. I loved this, you guys. I loved the interplay between the characters. I loved some of the. It really had like a very cool, feel of actually like getting to know some of their interpersonal relationships, as well as this overarching, the missing ship and now the missing people, and now our captain's gone and run off and done something stupid. Surprise, surprise. So I'm very excited to continue this next week.
All right. And I'm Eric. I'm the GM of this. And just like Leslie mentioned, I also do our Conan live stream on this channel every other Monday. So this coming up Monday, not yesterday, but the coming up Monday, will be the next episode of that. I am also the GM of the Resting Glitchface Shadowrun podcast, in addition to the other things that Gamers Table does. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you in 2 weeks.